Oh, no countdown.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Hi. We're,
Hey,
we're live.
We're
we are
live.
live.
All right.
All right, thanks for joining us, everybody. Today is Sci-Fi Saturday,
Sci-Fi Saturday.
so we're gonna talk about sci-fi, pop culture, movies, TV series, cartoons, comic books, whatever.
Cool. Um, Before we get into sci-fi, how did you guys all manage during our winter weather outbreak?
It was all right for me. Like, I'm not an extrovert; I'm an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
I love staying inside, so I had no cabin fever.
Right.
But no, we were safe. We kept power, so that was good. How about you guys?
Yeah, we were fine with everything. Thankfully, um, I posted some pictures on Facebook for people who don't realize what my yard looks like because we had trouble getting out, like for groceries and stuff like that. But we had power, we had water, and I did stock up before the weather came in, so we were in good shape, thankfully.
That's good.
I had my furnace go out.
Oh no.
Yeah, it went out. It was minor, thank goodness, but had like maybe 2 or 3 days that didn't have any heat, so had to use old school and use the stove to allow the repairman out. So that was a little nuisance, but we survived.
Oh yeah, it's got to be rough. Feels cold.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been where I lived where stuff like that went out, and we always used the stove. Stove always kept us warm and kept us safe. So it heated up the house pretty nice.
That's
Yeah,
good.
for people who don't live out here that may be watching this, we're all in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is in the South in general is not prepared for the kinds of temperatures and such that we had. I mean, when I say that, I mean the way our houses are built, stuff like that is not prepared for temperatures like that. So it got a little scary for some of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and prayers out to the people in Texas because they really wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did have a rough
situation.
A lot of them houses definitely wasn't prepared, wasn't built for that, for anything getting that low temperature and snow. Compound on that, so a lot of water breaks, pipes breaking, just a lot of people power outages. I mean, just really bad in general. So prayers to those people out there. Hope you're all doing okay. Our people from Texas. So
yeah.
How's Justin manage okay?
Yeah. Matter of fact, he stayed in a hotel like all week, just right across the street from where he has to work. So that was good for him.
good.
Yeah, I was really blessed at my day job. I was working from home, so
yeah, same here.
Yeah, so anything that came up, I mean, I had my laptop here, no big deal. So I didn't have to leave. My wife, she works in a hospital, and she missed. I don't remember if she missed both days last weekend or just one day, but we got her out of the yard this morning, so she'd go back in today. So she only works weekends anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal for her.
That's good.
So, is Jason behind you, Johnny, or is he at home?
He's behind me.
Hi, Jason.
There he is.
He's here. So. Fortunately, I had to work, so I had to get out. Only one day I stayed home was Thursday. I had to stay and wait for the furnace guy to come in. So, But other than that, I made it to work safe and sound. The main roads were clear, but the neighborhoods were kind of the pits getting out of. But I made it to and fro, safe and sound.
That's the important thing. The safe and sound part is the important thing. So.
Yes, sir.
Well, I see.
Sci-fi guys.
So I see Ben's got paper queued up for us. What are you planning today, Ben?
Honestly, don't know yet. Still thinking about it.
I got paper queued up too, but I don't know. I'm the same way, dude.
Yeah. Just waiting for inspiration to strike.
Yeah.
So, after our Saturday morning cartoon discussion,
Nice.
I went around eBay. So I'm circling in on some listings for Pirates of Darkwater next.
Did they have a comic book out?
I might have to go after that. I don't have that one, Tommy. I might have to go after that one too.
I have a Pirates of Darkwater comic, a single issue around here somewhere. They came up with somehow. Like I think it was in a pack of other comics that I bought.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm looking for. I'm trying to snag the animated series because I don't know that I ever actually watched the animated series. So
it was awesome.
Yeah, so good times. My son Harlow has really been liking the watching Dungeons and Dragons with me. So.
Nice.
Oh, great.
Cartoons were just so much funner back then.
Yeah, they were. The animation was so much better too.
I just enjoyed it so much more. Like even with the cheesiness, that you see now, like it's still it's like I'd rather than the modern stuff. But that was a topic from a couple weeks ago. Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
So we are talking science fiction today.
Yes. So what were some of your favorite sci-fi movies from your childhoods?
Well, before we go into that, Ben, do we want to define what sci-fi is? Because I know in recent years, you got some of the quote-unquote purists saying certain things are sci-fi and certain things aren't.
Well, it branches out. It's like music, right? Like country music isn't just country music anymore. It's like rock country and rap country now.
Yeah.
It's sci-fi branches out into like sci-fi western, sci-fi horror, sci-fi. There's just so many different types of sci-fi.
Well, allow me to say, believe
Tommy, you building up. I see you going. So Tommy, I want to hear Tommy.
Bleep purists. All right. I'm trying to censor for you. If we were sitting around without cameras broadcasting this on the internet, my language would be much more colorful. These guys know it, but I'm trying to be on my best behavior. So, bleep purist. No, I mean, sci-fi is one of those things that's kind of interesting because you can stretch the bounds. Star Wars is sci-fi, but I would argue that its heart is basically just fantasy with sci-fi trappings on it. A lot of superhero stuff ventures into sci-fi pretty fast, but isn't classically considered science fiction. But I mean, by the definition of that term, science fiction, how is a 140-pound weakling getting a serum that is not rooted in actual real-life science and turned into a beyond human super soldier, not science fiction? Or someone getting bitten by a radioactive spider and whichever version you want. Either he's shooting webs out of his wrists or he's building a bunch of contraptions that, again, aren't rooted in real science. How's that not science fiction? So,
right.
I agree.
It's like the one of the Supreme Court justices said, with science fiction, it's kind of like pornography. You know it when you see it. Too far?
Right. For the sake of the conversation, we'll just say sci-fi having to do with space travel, aliens, robots taking over the world.
Now we're totally going to diverge on tangents before it's all said and done. So
yeah,
we will, but let's start there.
it is actually literally impossible for me to not go off on tangents. Like
We know.
For me, for sci-fi, I think the first thing that I actually have to start with is Star Wars. I mean, as a kid, I watched Star Wars, had Star Wars toys, watched the Droids cartoon, the Ewoks TV movies, and spaceships and blasters and aliens, and so that would be the first thing for me, as far as a kid, like the big science fiction thing that appealed to me.
How about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm the same way. It always begins with Star Wars. Star Wars, it's always, when you space fantasy, whatever you want to call it, it's sci-fi. Star Wars did for me, and of course, you watch them older movies that used to come out on, on TV, the Plan B or Plan 9, whatever that was, and and Forbidden Planet and all this. I mean, but it always began. Your love for it began with Star Wars, and then you got the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I still love, and then it goes into stuff like the Matrix. But to Tommy's point, yeah, I mean, if you want to dissect it up, even our comic genre, from Spider-Man to Captain America, that's pretty much sci-fi. Superman's sci-fi.
Yeah, an alien.
So,
I mean,
it's all pretty much the same, and whether strange visitor from another planet comes and becomes this superpowered god that's saving lives and whatnot, to you go and finding a spaceship and it's being terrorized by an alien on a spaceship, taking out everybody and impregnating everybody. I mean, you got different elements, the horror elements in there, and then it later morphed into the sequel. It's morphed into more of a suspense movie, action movie. So, I mean, there's tons of stuff you can do, tons of stuff you can name, pretty much.
What about you, Jason?
I'd say probably the Aliens franchise.
Yeah.
That's the earliest thing I can remember. I remember having to do with sci-fi. Unless you really talk cartoons. Then we can go back to Brave Star.
Oh,
there you go.
I mean, He-Man had a lot of sci-fi elements in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you had cyborgs. You had a lot of, every character that wasn't carrying a sword was carrying a blaster gun. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Silverhawks.
Silverhawks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even Transformers.
Oh yeah, Transformers, very much so.
Oh, definitely Transformers.
I haven't watched it in years, but another show that I remember watching a lot as a kid was Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
It has been literally since I was a kid, but I remember watching it a lot as a kid.
Yeah, that was one of my early
I
introductions
still
to
remember
sci-fi.
when it came out as a movie at the movie theater.
Yeah.
And they redid the Buck Rogers franchise and Gil Gerard, and it was a major motion picture. I remember going here in town to the Creek Hills Theater to go see it. Got introduced to Twiggy and Beady. So,
what's up, Buck?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I guess for all the people out there, Doctor Who is probably
Mhm.
the
Sure.
most popular. Whether you love it or hate it, I mean, it's sci-fi defined.
I caught odd
So,
episodes of Doctor Who on PBS when I was little, and didn't even know it was Doctor Who until years later, when Doctor Who made its big resurgence, probably in the mid 2000s, I think, when they kind of rebooted it with Christopher Eccleston, and then I started seeing a lot more Doctor Who stuff everywhere. I was like, oh, I had vague childhood memories of some of this stuff. I've never been a big Doctor Who guy, but I did watch the Ninth Doctor because I'm a big Christopher Eccleston fan.
yeah, I watched it some, and my cousins were big. They were big fans. They every time it came on,
Mhm.
if we was out playing basketball or they stopped what they're doing, hey, Doctor Who's on, and we'd stop and we run up there, and of course, um, I wasn't a huge fan, but I knew what it was, and
Mhm.
they just got a kick out of it. They just loved it to death, and a lot of back then was more cerebral stuff, but
Sure.
I mean, they I mean, the fan following you can't deny. It's just, I mean,
No, sure.
we've seen it at the cons and stuff. So I
Yeah.
mean, humongous fan following, and I watched some of the current stuff. The current stuff is pretty good. So,
Yeah, it's a legitimate pop culture phenomenon. I mean,
yeah,
with with Star Wars and Star Trek, and
of course. Oh, Star Trek. Oh man,
Yeah.
love Star Trek.
yeah. So Star Trek is one that I had an interesting relationship with. All right. Um, this is pre Next Generation. This is when the OG Star Trek was still just running around on syndicated reruns. Right.
Right.
Um, my brother, I used to like to watch Star Trek here and there, and my brother would actually shame me about it because not wanting to, it's like you don't want to be a nerd like your uncle, do you? My brother's no longer with us, but if he could see me now,
Big time nerd.
pretty much.
Oh man.
Yeah, I got pretty heavily into Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I did
I did
too.
really enjoy it when it was
Yeah.
I did too.
on. That's my favorite of the Star Trek series, but I've never done like a deep dive into some of the other ones like Deep Space Nine, which sounds like something I would love, just based off everything some of my friends have said about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's good. I got into it later, and I went
mhm.
back and watched everything, and it's better than what people think it is.
That's the beauty of the modern world is your education, your pop culture education, whatever, doesn't have to be limited to now. It doesn't have to be limited to
Right.
what what's on three TV channels. Um, you know, I a lot of the older science fiction movies, some of them you name checked earlier, I didn't watch those when I was a kid, but I've gone back as I've gotten older and done deeper dives into some of them. And it's the same thing. Like you can watch the entire Star Trek franchise now on one or two or three different streaming services.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can look at stuff that was breaking ground at the time. You know, um, and some of the stuff's even stuff that we take for granted now, and some of it's stuff that we thought would look a whole lot different now. Based off the ground they were breaking then.
Of
So,
course.
yeah. To go back to the Star Wars point, I liked it as a kid, but I was never like just a Star Wars nut, right? Like I was never just a hardcore Star Wars nut. And then the prequels came out, and I watched them. I mean, those were big pop culture events. The Star Wars prequels. We had new Star Wars movies for the first time in years.
Right.
Where Star Wars became a daily fixture of my house was when my oldest son was about 5 or 6. He's 17 now. My son and Jealous got hooked on Star Wars somewhere, somehow. I don't know, but didn't come from me.
What, daddy's influence?
Wasn't me. No, like I said, I like Star Wars well enough, but it wasn't anything that was just this big thing for me. And so that was the first thing, though, that me and my son basically bonded over was Star Wars. Like, just seriously bonded over. And he, like I said, he became a huge Star Wars fan. So after that, we had a ton of Star Wars video games in the house and different toys and, DVDs of the movies. And I could have done without myself before he got hooked on it. And my take on Star Wars,
to your point to the bonding, but
no. Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, just to your point with the bonding, it's funny how that you have because there's guys at work that normally I wouldn't talk to because we just from different aisles, but when it comes to something like I know one guy at work, he's a huge Star Wars fanatic,
right?
And we don't have anything in common about anything else except Star Wars. That becomes our talking point. He'll just for like the Mandalorian.
Sure.
It comes on. Hey, did you watch this? What do you think about this? What do you think about what's coming on with this? Even when the sequel movies came out, it was always this. What do you think? You're going to go see it. What do you think about this?
Right.
And he has a Star Wars room now. So, and then he'll ask me different things. Well, what do you think? You think if they would have done this? I mean, start getting to the what ifs. Well, if they would have done this, what do you think about this? And I thought that's kind of fascinating that we don't have nothing in common at work except for this thing called Star Wars. And there's another guy on the other end of the spectrum. He's a Star Trek fan, and he has all the movies. He has toys. He has the models of all the Enterprises, and he comes and asks me about different stuff. What do you think about this? What do you think about Star Wars Discovery? What do you think about Deep Space Nine? What do you think about Next Generation? Do you think they're going to have another Star Trek movie? What do you think about the Picard series? And we go into that, and again, nothing else in common. Just this thing called Star Trek. And I think that's just amazing how don't have that except you got little geek culture, Star Trek, Star Wars that becomes talking points in your day. So I always think that's just fascinating.
It's funny because taking it to the workplace like that, that's actually what I try to do with people that I'm dealing with on a daily basis is I try to find that common ground, whatever that common ground is. Okay. Where else I work at, I have one guy that I talk basketball with because that's the only thing, as far as I know, we have in common is basketball, right? A couple of guys, we have Star Wars fan theories all the time, and sometimes we just make fun of plot holes and big logic gaps, but the theorizing, the Mandalorian, first 2 seasons of the Mandalorian, especially with the weekly episodes, that became big. The Mandalorian became big, like water cooler gossip for us, after Of course, it always sucked because they were watching the new episodes on Fridays on their phone at work. Have you seen it yet? No, I'm going to watch it when I get home because I was watching it with my boy. And so we would discuss it on Mondays usually. But yeah, I mean, there's a girl at work that I talk about The Office with because that's her big interest is The Office, and so she actually got me started watching The Office, and so because I have a very, very, very wide array of interests, right? Very wide. I am an onion. I have layers.
There you go.
And so, for me, it's not about. I mean, it's just about finding that place where I can connect. And sometimes it's in geek culture, and sometimes it's in sports, and sometimes it's in pro wrestling, and sometimes it's in politics, and whatever, So I understand it. I'm saying the that's my long way around to saying I understand exactly what you're talking about with your guys at work.
Yeah. Well, it's just amazing that you got guys that you look at them, you think they just because they talk about hunting and stuff, which that's alien to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, we're going to go hunting and go and get a 10-point buck or whatever. Okay. And the next thing we're talking about, hey, Johnnie, did you see the episode of the Card? What do you think about that? What do you think about the Romulans? And what do you think about the Borg? And, you said 7 and 9's in there. And you go, what? Sorry, spoiler alert, people. But,
what?
Yeah, it's, yeah, you just go, okay, I don't have nothing in common with these guys. And all of a sudden this comes out and you start talking, and then it goes down rabbit holes where it just starts going deep. And then,
Sure.
Like you said, the fan theories. Well, do you think this is going to happen? Well, that'd be pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting take on it. I just think that's just always been amazing and interesting to me.
I had a guy that used to work for me. Come to work. He was a real quiet guy. He come to work one day wearing a Nightwing shirt. And so I made a comment to him, and I said about him being a geek. He's like, I'm not a geek. I said, you're wearing a Nightwing shirt. And he looks at me. I said, if you're wearing a Batman shirt or a Superman shirt or a Spider-Man shirt, I wouldn't question it. You're wearing a Nightwing shirt. That's a deeper dive. That's deeper cut.
Definitely deeper dive.
Yeah. So if I'm showing up wearing a Nova shirt, right now I'm wearing a Thor Oklahoma City Thunder shirt.
Yes,
If I show up wearing a Nova shirt, damn well I'm a geek.
Right.
Because that's not Spider-Man. That's not Captain America. It's not someone who's had a major motion picture. It's funny because I told him, I said, I'm not making fun of you. I'm saying if you're going to be a geek, just be a geek. It's fine. Just own it.
Right.
And he told me later that he appreciated that. I remember how he phrased it, but basically I told him that it was okay to be a geek. This stuff like this is what I wear when I leave the house. Unless it's a formal occasion, this is what I wear when I leave the house. When I'm at work, my work badge is hanging off of an Avengers lanyard, right? I mean,
yeah.
When I go to pay for something at the store, they see Thanos. Before that, it was the Shield logo, right?
Right.
So, I got nothing to hide. I'm 41 years old. I stopped giving a damn a long time ago about whether someone thought I was a geek or wasn't cool or whatever. I mean, I ain't got time for that mess.
Right. Mr. Ben, we haven't heard from you. What's your sci-fi? Your sci-fi coming up? What do you think?
I think for me, one of the first sci-fi things I ever saw was V: The Final Battle.
I love V.
Oh man, I forgot about that show.
And that creeps me out.
I'm still creeped out by like the eating the rats and the
yes,
peel off and
that's what stuck with me.
Yeah, I actually rewatched the first V series not too long ago. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Robert Englund's in that, in the one I watched.
Yes, he
anyway.
is. Yeah, he is. But yeah, that was kind of my introduction to like aliens. That's like the first alien thing I ever saw, and I was creeped out by that.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Wow. That brought back memories, man. I just remember. Came out. Wow.
That, and of course, Buck Rogers, like you mentioned earlier, was a big one.
You know, to throw it back to our discussion a couple weeks ago, Captain Power was heavily steeped in sci-fi elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I had V kicking around my head when we were talking earlier, and that I still, like, for years I had the image of the lady with her, we see the skin peeling off and the scales underneath and
scale underneath. Yeah.
And at least in my head, she's got a rat tail hanging out of her mouth because she was eating.
Yeah. Yeah, she's the one I remember eating that rat, and that just like creeped me out.
It was really disturbing because she was kind of hot otherwise. Hot people shouldn't eat rats. What are we talking about here?
And then there was X-Files when I was a little bit older.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. The truth is out there.
The truth is out there.
Me and my wife were very split on the X-Files. Not about whether we like the show or not. Our split is she really liked the case of the week episodes, like just the random Mulder and Scully go investigate. I started getting hooked when I started getting into the overarching conspiracy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But that speaks to how, like, she and I watch TV. She likes shows and books and whatever that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and she's done.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will take long-term storytelling every time. If I get her to read comic books, it has to be something where I'm handing her like the entire story.
Right.
She's read Kingdom Come. She's read Preacher. I think a couple other things where I handed her the entire thing. You know, she doesn't want it to be continued. She doesn't want to wait another week or another month or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, like you know, we both liked elements of X-Files, but it was different elements that spoke to us.
Right.
Yeah, I go with all the above for X-Files, Tommy. I like the long arcing, conspiracy theories that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Then even the more contained stories that lasted just the episode. I thought those were real cool too. But yeah, X-Files, it seemed like it don't get it. And I'm still that little short snip that they did with 2017, I think. They had a few episodes that they had, and then it stopped, and I thought they was going to continue on because it kind of left us hanging there. And they was even introducing new agents, which I thought was going to carry on the X-Files once Mulder and Scully was going to retire, or whatever they're going to kill them off, or whatever they're going to do. And they brought in two other agents, male and female. I forget their names right now, but then it was like it stopped, and I've been kind of waiting. And okay, Chris Carter, what are you going to do? What are you going to bring them back? And because we want more. We got our X-Files, juices flowing. What's happening next? And it just stopped, and you haven't heard anything about it unless they're just going to bombard us when we least expect it.
I remember in the original run they tried to, because I think Duchovny and Anderson were both kind of being tired of it a little bit or wanted to do other things. They tried to replace them with other agents, and that went over like a lead balloon. And I liked the replacement agents myself. Doggett and what was her name? His partner.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Was it Reyes?
I don't remember her last name.
Yeah,
it might have been Reyes.
But yeah, like I enjoyed it, but the sad thing is with a popular audience, sometimes you have to or for the broader audience, you have to stick to certain things that sometimes people don't want. Yes, Monica Reyes, played by Annabeth Gish.
Yeah.
Score one from memory.
I also like the little spin-off they did with the Lone Gunman.
Yeah,
that was a fun series.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't last for what, a year maybe?
Yeah, I think it was just one season, maybe two.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 episodes, one season.
Yeah.
Because I thought I agree with you there, Ben. I thought that was a good series, and I thought it was going to expand into something more with them.
Yeah, they were just fun characters to follow.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be kind of like where they did Kolchak and the Night Stalker.
Right.
Where they kind of bump into stuff and, hey, they're aliens or monsters or what. And they write about them and people say, oh, you guys.
Yeah. And kind of along those lines was Fringe. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show.
What was that?
I never watched it, though.
Fringe?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like X-Files where they're going around investigating mysterious things, but there's an overarching storyline going on.
Oh, my.
We have any? I'll tell you one of my favorite movie series. One of my favorite sci-fi movie series is Planet of the Apes, the original.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up. I had that on the list. I was writing down stuff, and I was going to bring that up to you guys and see what y'all thought about that.
I love Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love Planet of the. I mean, I've never actually finished the new trilogy, but I have. I have the original trilogy. I have the original 5 movies rather, the new trilogy, and the Tim Burton one-off that I loved everything except the ending.
Right.
And that original trilogy, I mean, it's Charlton Heston was not a fantastic actor, but it's still so fun. Like, I love rewatching those movies. And I love the way the story loops.
Yeah.
With the third movie taking place in the past, and then it just goes full circle.
Yep.
Do you remember? I might be showing my age, but remember the TV series, The Planet of the Apes?
I vaguely remember it. I think I caught reruns, in syndication.
Right. That's one thing I've enjoyed. Even when the movies were out, then I just caught on the popularity, and then they said it was coming to TV, and I used to watch it be on, I think, Tuesday nights. I used to watch that, and a lot of the characters kind of reprise their roles. You had Dr. Zaius, and then can't remember the other, but you always got a kick out and see what's going to happen. I really mean, but the movies definitely love the movie, especially the older movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I big fan of those, and I didn't watch those until, sometime in my adult years was when I finally sat down and watched them. I think I snagged them on a, maybe not. It might have actually been my late teens. Because I remember I got them. They did a big VHS re-release. I don't remember what the purpose was. I'm assuming it was an anniversary or something. And that's when I got them and watched them. And then upgraded to the DVDs later. Yeah, I also pull those out every so often. I actually love Planet of the Apes.
So at my age, I remember got to see three of them at the drive-in we had here.
Lucky you, Johnny.
Yeah. That's always a big deal. But we'll go see Planet. Dad, can we go see Planet of the Apes? Just amazing.
You mentioned, and I don't know, but that's towing the line, I think. But you mentioned Kolchak a little bit ago.
Yes.
It
was one of my favorite shows.
That's one of those.
70s.
It's one of those. It was very interesting because it lasted I think one season.
Yeah, wasn't very long.
But it is regarded as being, highly influential on people. Like,
yeah.
it's cited constantly, among creatives that I talk to now as being one of their favorite shows, a big influence. But it lasted one season. But then, I mean, Star Trek, the original Star Trek lasted 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And, that the influence Star Trek has, cannot be denied.
Right.
Right.
Well, he was Kolchak.
Stuff gets ahead of its time.
Yeah, Darren McGavin. Back then, I mean, it was kind of some of those shows were creepy too. They was actually they were very creepy.
Yeah, I think Chris Carter said that it inspired X-Files.
Yeah, it was very creepy for back then, because I think some of that stuff kind of that's kind of hid your little kid. You kind of hid your eyes, but yeah, I think that was one of the shows ahead of its time. I don't know if any of you guys remember a show called Space 1999?
Yeah. I remember it. I mean, I don't have strong memories of it.
Right. I remember maybe seeing a few episodes, but it just never. The only thing I remember is that they had a lot of toys that had that unique spaceship. Which I thought was cool, and that the show itself, I never really.
What was it about, Johnny?
Time that it just kind of disappeared. So, but I don't know if they was trying to capture the Star Trek thing, or I mean, I know it was before Battlestar Galactica came out, the '70s version, but I don't remember much about it. That there's trying to explore space. So. I just remember it had the marketing deal with the toys. Like I said, it had that cool spaceship, and that's about it.
Ben, what you got cooking on the page there?
I'm enjoying Hawk, Buck Rogers.
Nice. Jason, what you got going on over there, buddy?
Strong as an astronaut.
Johnny, you gonna fire up something today?
I might. I mean, this talking, getting the juices flowing a little bit. So might throw something together. It's funny again. The Cold Shack. I remember at one of the Wizard World, I got a commission to do Darren McGavin. I don't know, it might be in my photos on Facebook if y'all want to check it out. But yeah, I had a guy come up. He said, "Can you do Cold Shack?" I'm going, "The Cold Shack?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Be my honor." We started talking a little bit about the show, and I told him I was a big fan when it was on back then. So
nice.
But,
you mentioned Battlestar Galactica a little bit ago.
yeah.
Obviously, one of the biggest reboots or reimaginings of a TV show in history was the Battlestar Galactica 2005. Edward James Olmos and leading the cast as Adama. Were any of you guys big fans of that?
I've never seen any of them. I've seen that the First Blood, whatever that movie was they had released. I've seen that, but I've never seen any of the series.
Okay.
I saw the pilot movie. I think it's like a 2-hour pilot.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
A lot of guys I know, Kerry Stoner, if you're watching, he's a big fan of it. he swears up and down by it, but I never got a chance to go back and check him out and whatnot. So
I tried with it. Um, my issue with it was that I honestly didn't feel like any of the characters were likable. So I didn't feel like I had anybody to root for. And I'm not saying I need people to be like my characters to be like perfect, like never make mistakes or never. Right. But I need somebody to root for.
Right.
Right.
And so I did have an issue. That was one issue I had with it.
So going back to the 70s one, I mean, they had plenty. I mean, Adama was Lauren Green from Bonanza.
Mm-hmm.
Very likable. And then you had Apollo and Starbuck and, what's it called? Boomer, I guess his name was his name. Boomer. No.
Yeah.
Guy in space named Boomer. So Boomer Sooner.
Okay, Boomer.
Not like a dog's name, but remember that the little kid? He had the little space dog or whatever it was, like part cyborg dog or something. I don't know what it was. But I always thought that was pretty cool. And then of course you had the Cylons that were.
I thought the old school Cylons. They had the cool iconic design.
Yeah, the Centurion, and again they had the computer voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that just that's so cool. I also like the ships. I like the Vipers, and I like the Cylons. They're little more disc-looking ships.
Mm-hmm.
I always love those. Yeah, the 70s. I always liked that. I love the 70s Battlestar Galactica. Like I said, I haven't watched any of them, the new stuff. And do they have? I mean, well, I seen the movie, and it had like the ships look about the same. The Viper ship looked the same, but like I said, I'm kind of confused. They said there's Cylons in there, but I never.
They most of them
they look human.
Yeah, tended to look human.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I know they eventually, because the show, Battlestar Galactica wasn't canceled. It was one that ran to a conclusion. The 2005 version. I know they got into something kind of deep and philosophical between the Cylons and the humans, but I had tapped out before I got there. I some of my good friends were huge fans of the show, and every so often I'd comment, that, all right, I'm having a hard time with, you got to watch until this point. Okay, and I'd watch to that point. I'm like, I'm still, you got to watch to this point. It's like a 4-season show, and I'm 2.5 seasons in. I'm like, I'm still not enjoying it. And finally, one of my best friends goes, oh, well, if you don't like it at that point, and he's a huge fan of the show. He goes, you don't like it at that point, shut it off. And I was like, all right, good enough. So. A show I grew up watching with my dad. I don't know if you guys were fans. Quantum Leap.
Yes.
Enjoyed that show. Scott Bakula jumping through time. It was within his life, right? Right. That was the gimmick.
I think so. I never watched the show, but I do remember it.
Yeah, Dean Stockwell was the hologram. Al explaining to him, what he had to do. He was jumping through time, setting things right. He would jump into people's bodies. What it was. So the viewer would generally see Scott Bakula because he was the star of the show.
Right.
But we'd always get little short. Usually him looking into a mirror or something, or occasionally, I think, occasionally we'd see images from another character's point of view where we would see the character he's supposed to be. Right. But that was a fun show. That was a pretty fun show. That like I said, my dad was a big fan of it, and so I spent many a night sat on the floor next to his recliner watching it with him.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Quantum Leap lasted quite a while, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
It was a pretty
So
popular show, I thought.
Yep. Yeah, it did really well. And one of the biggest shows in modern sci-fi has to be Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Right. Which I've thoroughly enjoyed. The first 3 seasons. I've really enjoyed them. Seeing Winona Ryder playing a neurotic mom makes me realize how old I'm getting. I was a fan of David Harbour and didn't realize it until I saw him on the show. That was, it was one of those things that when I started watching the show, I tagged him right off. Oh, okay, he's the asshole cop who stands in the way of everything. And like, oh no, he has a lot more depth than I was expecting.
Yeah, he's my favorite character on the show. Favorite actor. Like, he's just so likable.
Mm-hmm. Completely. And there's not a whole lot of Netflix originals I get too excited about, but I am looking forward to the 4th season of that.
Yeah. Have you watched Lost in Space on there?
I have not.
Yes.
I got a couple of friends who said it's really good.
It is.
It is. That's a really good show.
I really enjoyed it.
I think that one and Stranger Things are probably my favorite Netflix original shows.
Yeah.
Not to diverge from the sci-fi too much, but it wasn't originally a Netflix original, but since Cobra Kai became a Netflix original, that's definitely towards the top of my list. So
yeah, Cobra Kai was. I don't know, we're going off off the rails, right? But yeah, I mean, especially this last season, I definitely loved the fan service they did to the second movie.
Yeah,
I loved all the fan service they did.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got excited. Again, there's a guy I don't have nothing in common with. I was talking to one of my friends about, getting home, I'm gonna watch the rest of Cobra Kai, the 3rd season. He started asking about it, and his eyes just lit up. And I told him, you got to watch this season. I said, because it does the best fan service to the second movie. Mm-hmm. And I said, you'll be surprised all the people they brought back. And he started asking me, and I said, no, I'll let you watch it first. You got to watch it.
Just watch it.
So.
Are any of you guys Twilight Zone fans?
Yes.
Yeah, I like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I just watched all 5 seasons recently.
Did you? I love me some Twilight Zone. Rod Serling was a fantastic writer. Just a fantastic writer. His social commentary on those episodes, it's still, it started in '59, the original series. So many of those episodes, the moral of those are so timeless. I'll be watching them now, and I'm like, wow, Rod Serling's trying to say this in 1959.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which wasn't very popular. Yeah.
Now, sometimes people just don't want to listen, but
right.
I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. My oldest boy, he started watching Twilight Zone here and there a while back, and like one night I was heading to bed. Before I knew it, I was sitting on the floor for the next 20 minutes, just finishing out the episode because I knew the episode. I wanted to see it again. I was like, yeah, it's cool. I knew where it was going. He didn't know where it was going. I knew where it was going. I'd seen it before. But
that's the beauty about most of those. Once you start watching, it'll pull you back in, and you've seen it like 4,000 or 5,000 times. You get drawn back in. You're gonna sit there and watch it again.
Right.
Yeah. I like to go into things that I haven't seen unspoiled. I like to have that first experience just fresh. But I do like my comfort food after that.
Right.
I do knowing, knowing what's going to happen, knowing those feel good moments, knowing those spine shivering moments.
Right.
What are some of your favorite episodes?
What is it? I think the Monsters are due on Maple Drive. I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah,
Which the whole that's one. I think the whole moral of treating your neighbor as the other and being paranoid about it. I think has rang true through
group
today.
think too.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Of course, the Time Enough at Last episode.
Oh yeah.
Poor old guy breaking his glasses and
Yeah.
There's the one that my son was watching that I got caught on the floor, wound up sitting on the floor and watching was but a salesman who's trying to get one last sale. His one big sale and his death had come for him. That was a really good one. Gosh, there was those, and the Monster Go Maple Street, yeah. And then one of the things I just love about the show is seeing some of those actors, before they were big,
Right.
Yeah. And some of those smaller roles, and you're watching, you're like, wow,
Yeah, I was surprised to see Charles Bronson and Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
In some of those older episodes, and they're just so young.
Yep. I was I never watched many of the originals, but I used to watch a lot of the first reboot of The Outer Limits.
Okay, that's where I was going next.
Because those were running in syndication. It was originally a cable series, I think, but it's running in syndication on Channel 23 out here, which is a Fox affiliate. And that's where I caught a lot of those episodes.
Is that the one that has Jeff Bridges in the first episode?
Yeah. Yep.
I think it's called like the Sand King or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that was a good series.
I do. It's funny because I commented earlier about not liking the one-offs and and loving the ongoing storytelling, but I also have a real big fondness for anthologies. Like Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits. Real big fondness for those. And those two stories that I did in the Winter's Eye anthology, The Inheritance that you drew, Ben, and then Problem Solver that Carrie Stringfield drew. I always liken those to Inheritance was my Twilight Zone story, and Problem Solver is my Outer Limits story.
Yeah, I can see that.
I assume you are, Ben, but I don't know about the rest of you. Firefly?
Of course.
Never seen it.
I only seen that when Ben invited us over and we watched Serenity and Firefly. I never really got into it.
My oldest boy watched Serenity several years ago and was completely like, oh, whatever with it. And then he watched Firefly about a year ago or so, and he really liked it. I'm not in the camp that I think Firefly was Joss Whedon's best work. I don't. I think it's benefited from the fact that it was canceled early, that it gets kind of put on a pedestal a little bit. But it did have a fantastic cast, fantastic group dynamic. It's great dialogue.
Yeah.
My favorite moment from the show is the final scene from the episode Ariel, I believe. It's when Jane tries to sell out Simon and River to the feds, and it doesn't work. And he thinks he's gotten away with the fact that he tried to turn on them, but Mal has figured it out, and he sucker punches Jane and leaves him
on the airlock.
Yeah, in the airlock. And that's my favorite scene in the entire show, including the movie. That's my single favorite scene. I love that. Adam Baldwin and Nathan Fillion just killed it right there. So, how about Babylon 5? Any Babylon 5 fans?
I watched a few episodes of that. Wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, I never really got into it either. But it stayed on for a long while, I know it's got a pretty good following.
It just hit HBO Max, and so I started watching it. Like, they remastered it, apparently. They didn't just dump it on the service. They remastered it.
Nice.
I remember watching episodes when it was on originally. I was having a hard time with it now. It seems like one of those things that I like a whole lot more then than now.
Right. That was a J. Michael Straczynski show, right?
Yep, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little too political for me. Like, it just dipped too much into the politics.
Well, now you can't do anything without politics in it. I was trying to avoid going here yet, but one of my two favorite shows of all time, and I just put them 1A, 1B, but it's definitely a science fiction series. Hands down, no hesitation, is Lost.
Yeah.
The elements in that show, it can't not be a science fiction show. I've rewatched that series 3 or 4 times, I think.
Wow.
I love the phenomenal casting. I love the way they handle the ensemble. It's one of those shows that I enjoyed when it was on its original run. And it's even better now that you don't have the wait between episodes, like if you're just binge watching it. Yeah, that's like I said, one of my 2 favorite TV shows of all time.
That's one of the shows, whether you like it or not, it's just a great, well-written show. Some of the best TV writing.
I think I'm gonna run this back to the beginning of the show. We're talking about distinctions with science fiction. Right. I think the only meaningful distinctions in science fiction are what they call hard sci-fi and soft sci-fi. And hard sci-fi is when you get into the science of it,
right?
And the soft sci-fi is when it's a little more about the fiction of it. And I think the problem that people had with the end of Lost was they thought it was more of a hard sci-fi show than it was. When at the end of it, it was really just about the characters, which it did phenomenally well because, like, I just love that cast. I mean, that whole sprawling cast is just one of the greatest in TV, in my opinion.
Well, isn't that what it mostly was? It's character driven mainly.
That's yeah.
Like I said, I never watched it, never got into it, but I've heard people talking about it, and I just and they said it's more character driven.
Yeah, they would change the focus in every episode to a different character.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have your storylines that were running on the island, and then you would have flashbacks to the characters' lives before the island. And they did such a great job of sometimes giving you flashbacks in one episode, but then giving you the context for those flashbacks in later episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And so things that you thought were true weren't necessarily what you thought they were when you looked at it from a different angle. So, yeah, it was so good. And also, I would have killed to have seen Josh Holloway play Gambit in an X-Men movie.
You would have been perfect.
It would have been fantastic. Having all the charm in the world. I don't care if he only managed the same Texas accent. He would have had all the charm needed for the character. So. And Lost was the show that put Evangeline Lilly on the map, and now she's Wasp in the MCU.
Yeah.
All right. Since you say that, Tom, I might have to take you up on it and just actually watch it and see, because I was always kind of fearful of it. You had some people that loved it and some people that just despised it.
I adore it. I have strong feelings about people who actually watch the whole show and hate the ending. Because the ending's very, very polarized. I won't get into that because you haven't seen it. But
right.
Yeah. I
have very strong feelings about people who watched the whole show and then didn't get the ending. I have very, very strong feelings about people who watched 2 seasons of it and then thought they knew everything about the show, because holy shit. Yeah, and it's one that it'll twist and it'll turn on you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like I said, I gone that way, just kind of put up with just hearing Stranger Things, and just hearing just everybody just the great things and then I finally got to watch it, and it just blew me away. So again, Lost was something is a different animal, but a lot of my friends that liked it saying, give it a chance and just watch it and see what you think. And so I may take your word. I may take you up on that. See what's going on.
If you got Hulu, it's right there.
Yeah.
So, talking about Stranger Things there, the only thing I don't like about Stranger Things was the trend of bad retro shows and movies that followed in its wake. I'm getting so sick of 80s soundtracks in TV shows and movies as a desperate reminder that this movie is really, really set in the 80s, really, we promise. You love this stuff, right? Remember?
Tired of hearing a flock of seagulls, huh?
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Stranger Things does it badly. I think Stranger Things does it very well. It's the come along imitators behind it. But I think we talked about that on one of the earlier episodes about how when something's big, then you get things trying to follow suit.
Right.
Trying to, in lieu of a fresh idea, you just play follow the leader and hope to catch, people who can't get enough of the thing that whetted their appetite in the first place. So.
Right. All right. So what's the other show you're going to mention, Tommy?
Do what?
was the other show you're going to mention?
Well, I wasn't because it's not sci-fi.
Oh, okay.
So I felt like I've had enough tangents for one episode.
Jason, besides aliens, what else? What other sci-fi stuff do you love?
Oh, I don't already know. Kind of spaced out up there.
Let's prove that he's over here, y'all.
Still with us.
Jason's like, I was waiting on Tommy to shut up for 5 minutes.
I'll just scribble my way over here.
He's putting in the work, y'all.
So we're doing sci-fi, right?
Yes, sir.
I can't even think of anything off my head. Predator, aliens, Terminator stuff.
Terminator's big sci-fi stuff for sure.
I was gonna say,
Yeah. Terminator, definitely.
like, I know a lot of people hated the one where it was John Connor and the guy in the future.
Mm-hmm.
What was that one called? Salvation.
Salvation. Actually, that was just on last night.
I really like that one.
I did too. I thought it was very underrated. Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wanted to see more stuff of the future battles.
Right.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. I'm that asshole that likes the one with Emilia Clarke, Genesis.
Oh, the remake?
Yes and no. I mean, when you get into time travel, it's all just really weird anyway. So, but I really actually enjoyed that one. But see, I'm also not a hardcore Terminator guy, right? Like, I enjoy Terminator, but I'm not just like a, hardcore Terminator purist. So maybe it did something wrong, fan wise. And so, but for me, I really enjoyed it. But I also like Emilia Clarke as an actress too. So that helps. Any of you guys ever read Terminator versus RoboCop? Or RoboCop versus Terminator?
Yes.
By Frank Miller?
Yes.
That was good stuff.
That is good stuff.
I have that hardcover around here somewhere.
When did that come out? What year was that?
Was it early 90s?
I think so. It was 92.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was written by Frank Miller and drawn by Walt Simonson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The whole idea is that they merged the two stories together in that RoboCop actually becomes the genesis of Skynet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so a human soldier gets sent back to destroy RoboCop, so Skynet can't be built.
Huh.
And so Skynet sends Terminators back to protect RoboCop. And so, it was very good.
That sounds really interesting.
And speaking of freaking RoboCop, love RoboCop.
First one?
Yes, jeez. I love the first two. The third one, a little dicey. I love the first two. So good, and very much sci-fi.
What about the remake, Tommy? Did you care about that one?
I did. I really enjoyed it.
I liked it too.
I took it for what it was,
Yes, sir.
I thought they did a really good job actually of making Alex's family seem more important than the original movies did.
Right.
But
Yeah, it seemed like it got a little more heart to it, I guess.
yeah, which is kind of surprising because usually the problem with remakes, in my opinion, is that it feels like they just run a greatest hits pastiche and leave out the heart.
Right.
But I actually I did really think that the remake was pretty well done. But yeah, big fan of the RoboCop movies. Except maybe the third. I actually really enjoyed. And again, it's one of those. If I went back and watched it now, I might hate it. I don't know. But they did a RoboCop TV series for a little while. That was running.
I remember that.
I remember that. Yeah.
And I enjoyed it at the time, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't know. It might be one of those things if I watch it now, I might think it's terrible. But at the time, I'd catch it on, I think, Sunday nights, and it was pretty good stuff. My controversial take on spin it around to earlier stuff was my secret to enjoying Star Wars is I never put the original movies on a pedestal, so the prequels don't bother me and the sequels don't bother me, because I don't have like this inflated view of the original trilogy.
That's fair.
In fact, I really love the sequels myself, but that's an unpopular opinion these days. So,
No, I like the sequels. Could they have been better? Yeah, but I liked them.
I can tell you shit in all 9 movies that could have been better. That's my point. So, my favorite thing is when people complain that they were making it up as they went along, and with the sequel movies, and they completely ignore the fact that Luke spent 2.5 movies trying to bang his own sister. You tell me George Lucas wasn't making up as it went along, I'm telling you you're full of crap. So. One thing I've never been able to manage.
I had some incest going on.
But when there's one chick in the entire galaxy, apparently, I guess any old port in the storm.
Yeah.
One thing I can't really do with Star Wars is, and this is where I'm going to start running into the issue now, as Disney Plus is going all out to milk it as hard as they can. Is like I've never watched the animated shows. I watched a little bit of Clone Wars. It's all I could manage. So like with Mandalorian, and we'll try to tread lightly here, I guess, for people who do watch Mandalorian but haven't, for whatever reason, watched the second season. The more it started delving into stuff that called back to Clone Wars, the more I was left completely cold as a fan, because I haven't watched any of that stuff. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't have an emotional investment in any of that stuff. Yes, I hear Clone Wars is absolutely fantastic. That's great. Doesn't change the fact that I haven't watched it, don't care. Not saying that Star Wars needs to cater to me. I'm just saying that if I feel locked out on it, I may stop watching, is all. My son, big Clone Wars fan. He was explaining everything to me during and after episodes. Oh, well, this is so and so. Oh, okay, that's great. I remember they ran into a little bit of a problem. There was a not insignificant number of quote unquote casual Star Wars fans who were who had a hard time with the movie Solo because Darth Maul appears at the end of the movie. And for those who haven't watched all of Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff, Darth Maul survives getting cut in two by Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 1, Phantom Menace.
What?
Yeah. So,
Spoilers.
if you haven't watched all that stuff and you're watching Solo and you see Darth Maul there, you're going, how old is Han Solo? Because that was literally a problem some people had. They were like trying to figure out how old Solo was because, like, did this take place before Episode 1? I think the Star Wars side of Disney needs to work a little bit harder at, if they're going to jump around the timeline, explaining that or relaying the necessary information to people who aren't watching every last spin-off and what have you. But along those lines, I'm kind of reaching that point with, we'll see how it goes with the MCU. I was good with 3 movies a year or whatever. Depending on how they roll out these TV shows, I might fall behind pretty fast. Like I watched maybe a quarter of the Netflix Marvel stuff, so I'm not sure I'm in the market for 10 new Marvel shows along with 3 movies a year. But I'm ready to turn in my geek card. That's okay.
Is there anything you guys want to see remade or redone or brought back? Or
I have I have a rule on remakes.
Trauma.
I hate remakes except when I like them. So.
I like the Friday the 13th remake.
I love the Friday the 13th remake. That is so good.
Job at that.
I agree.
Jason knows how to run.
Yeah.
Right.
I saw my cootie for a second there. I was like, all right, that's I'm glad to hear it.
About a couple months ago, I learned.
Ben, you should have had Hawk from Buck Rogers there with Hawk from Twin Peaks.
Never watched Twin Peaks, so I don't know who that is.
I would say it toes the line of being a sci-fi show, and I would recommend it. I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks. I'll admit it took my second try at watching the show to really get into it, and the reason why is the original show is very, very 90s, very early 90s TV. But you just have to kind of lean into the absurdity of it. Once you do, it takes you on a hell of a ride.
That was David Lynch, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he brought it back in 2017 on Showtime, and they basically offered him just an unfettered creative outlet for it. And David Lynch is an interesting cat. And I don't know. On one hand, I don't know if maybe he's a little better off when he's got some guardrails he's got to work in. But on the other hand, the Showtime series is definitely, when you get to that point, by that point you're either a fan of David Lynch or you're not, and that will determine whether or not you're going to enjoy what he came out with there, because it's the dude has no discipline whatsoever in that one, and it's either like I said, you either think it's glorious or you think it's a train wreck, or it's a glorious train wreck.
That's even better said, Tommy. Glorious train wreck.
Sometimes things are just glorious train wrecks. So. You know, Twin Peaks was a very, very influential show too.
Yeah.
It's considered one of those shows that kind of flipped TV on its ear. It was ahead of its time a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. One of those shows they said is way ahead of its time.
Yeah, it happens.
Either you got it or you didn't.
Or you get it years after it got canceled because not enough people got it.
Yeah. I think it always got the acclaim, but just never, the viewership never caught on.
Well, one of the problems I ran into was it had a very cool, eccentric cast, but it was built around a central mystery. And I enjoy the first 2 seasons, but they wrap up that central mystery early in season 2. And to a lot of people, if you weren't invested in the cast, it felt like they were treading water. And, you know, I'll admit, at the end of the day, and I may have said this on the show, so I apologize. At the end of the day, I'm a character over plot guy.
Right.
I can take rudimentary paint by numbers plots if they're being carried by interesting characters. I think as a writer, I'm better with characters than I am with plots. It's what appeals to me. My wife loves shows like CSI and stuff like that, where you can plug the characters in and out, and nothing's going to change anything. I want a Buffy the Vampire Slayer where the characters matter, even if they're walking through the same paint by numbers plot, fighting monsters every 5th episode or whatever. And that's just what appeals to me. So. It's one of those things that bugs me in comic books when, like, a writer comes onto a book and they clearly haven't made an effort to understand the characters' voices. Spider-Man should speak and think and act and feel a certain way. Captain America should speak and think and act and feel a certain way. Superman, same thing. Batman. I'm not saying characters can't evolve and grow over time. They can, but if the entire evolution was this issue was written by this guy, and then the next issue is written by a different guy, and now the character sounds completely different, that was someone being lazy or not caring about what came before them. But my pet peeve.
I agree with that, because there are some characters that they just get lazy.
I remember at the beginning of one specific example that jumps out at me. I think it was. I think it's the beginning of. I was going to say the beginning of Avengers Disassemble. I think it's actually the beginning of one of the prelude issues for Civil War. Spider-Man's fighting somebody, and Captain America shows up. This is before the sides have split or anything. before they've even introduced the Superhuman Registration Act.
Right.
And I don't remember for the life of me now who was writing Spider-Man. But Spider-Man says he's thinking, thoughtful, and oh great, Jarhead is here, and he's acting like he's just really inconvenienced by Captain America being there, and it felt so out of place to me. The Spider-Man is disrespecting Captain America even privately,
And that's something he'd never done,
right,
in the previous history.
Right. And like I said, that's one of those things that I was like, it took me out of it. It took me out of the story because I'm going, this doesn't feel like Spider-Man,
It might have been Straczynski. I think he was writing it during that time.
Well, if so, that was a really terrible. That was a really terrible piece. So.
Yeah.
Johnny, what you got cooking on the page there?
I'm going into a Terminator, actually.
Okay. Well, I'd had my browser kind of compressed aside so I could see the split until I pulled it up. At first, like you're doing Cyborg Superman, but I can see the.
It could easily be manipulated to Cyborg Superman. I was going to try to do Arnold, and I said, hey, I'll just make it another guy. And we mentioned Terminator. I said, that's what I ought to do.
I've always been a bit of a fan of Robert Patrick, who was the T-1000 in Terminator 2, and was also Agent Doggett in X-Files, one of the two agents we were talking about earlier, that when they tried to kind of pass the torch from Mulder and Scully.
He's a great actor.
He's a great actor. He's getting a little older now.
Yeah. I think he's probably a little underrated as an actor.
I think so. Most of the stuff I've seen him in, he's done a great job in.
He's 62 years old right now.
Wow.
But he's also one of those guys where the keys of his performance, even as a bad guy, has never been his physical presence. So I think he could still be a very effective villain in a movie, for instance.
Of course.
He had 5 releases in 2019. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he's got a role in The Walking Dead coming up.
But he seems like he's one of the masters. He's just, his consistency stays there, and he's always doing something.
Sure.
He's always stays consistent.
I mean, lazier than
Samuel
Samuel
L.
Jackson.
Everything. Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson was in everything for a while there.
Yeah.
Right.
For better or for worse, he was in everything.
Yeah.
It's like Nicolas Cage.
That dude's been busy lately. Like every time he turns around, there's a new Nicolas Cage movie coming out.
Straight to video, though.
But I'm generally seeing good fan response from the movies. I guess he's like just leaned into the Nicolas Cage-ness of his performance and doing these like crazy ass horror movies where he's over the top. Yeah, I remember in the mid '90s or so, that dude was everywhere.
Yeah, he's on the top of his game then. They never did make that Superman movie he's supposed to be in, did they?
No.
Okay.
Thank God.
I know he did test photography, but
Look, I'm not one of those guys that hates Nicolas Cage. I'm not. Enjoyed a great many of his movies over the years.
Yeah.
Who in their ever-loving blue mind thought that Nicolas Cage would be a good Superman?
It's Tim Burton.
That just doesn't even make any sense.
Imagine a Batman versus Superman, Nicolas Cage against Michael Keaton.
Although, since you bring that up, Michael Keaton was one of those guys that, when he was cast as Batman, it was who in their ever-loving blue mind thought that Michael Keaton would make a good Batman. You know what? He was.
yes, he was. He was.
Probably. Well, I was going to say my second favorite Batman, but I'm a huge fan of the Christian Bale Batman. Huge fan of Christian Bale Batman. But I do have a real big fondness for Kevin Conroy's animated Batman.
Yeah. His voice is just, oh man, that's Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, if I read a Batman comic now, it's his voice. Though.
You hear his voice. You do that too, huh?
It's not Christian Bale. It's not Michael Keaton. Not sure. Hell, not George Clooney. Speaking of, George Clooney's supposed to be remaking Buck Rogers.
That's what I heard.
Really?
I could see that. I could see it.
Yeah, I think he's supposed. I know he's set to produce it, but I think he's supposed to be starring in it.
Yeah.
You know what? That is. I think he'd probably pull it off. I think he'd pull it off.
As long as he just goes into it with. Just leans into it. Just leans into the Buck Rogersness. I mean.
Right.
Don't be self-conscious about it. Just do it. Just.
Right.
Like, I'm not a big George Clooney fan, but the dude's got charisma. He does. I mean, and he's still got that look that could pull off Buck Rogers.
Yeah.
Interesting milestone. It is 3:38 p.m. on February 20th, 2021. My air conditioner just kicked on, which sounds pretty crazy given how damn cold it has been for the last couple weeks. But I'm fine with that.
What's the temperature? I think the temperature's almost 50, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And when the temperatures really, really started, they're really forecasting those plummeting temperatures. I went through plastic up on my windows, so all that sunlight out there is superheating the house right now. So, I was excited when I got home yesterday, and the house's internal temperature was higher than what my thermostat setting was for. I was like, oh, sweet! Like we're. No concerns of freezing. That's good. So.
Well, man, you have any other sci-fi nuggets that you enjoyed, or some secret loves that Everybody hates, but you love.
There was a there was a cartoon called I'm trying to think of the title of it. Oh, I think it was called something like Exo Soldiers or Exo Suits.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember what that was called.
Not Exo Soldiers, apparently. Exo Squad?
Exo Squad. There you go. Yeah,
Just had to find
that was.
right
How many episodes did they do?
looks like she ran 2 seasons, 39 episodes. It looks like.
I remember it being pretty short, but it was really good. It was well written.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever watched it. I knew what you're talking about when you said it.
Yeah, I think it takes place in the future, and humans create a synthetic humanoid,
Uh-huh.
if I remember correctly. And they send them off to Mars to colonize Mars or something. And they end up rebelling against the humans. It's been years since I've seen it. I might be remembering it wrong, but that's
that's pretty accurate to the Wikipedia description. Yeah, I've never really been a bit. They had suits, right?
Yeah, they had exosuits. They looked a lot like what Ripley jumps into in Aliens.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never really been a big powered suit guy, like in my sci-fi, which has driven one of my best friends nuts because he absolutely loves like giant mechs.
Yeah,
and that's never been anything that's had a huge appeal to me.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably why I never got into Exo Squad. Like I said, I know what you're talking about when you said it. Like I had it was popping into my head there. How about and I feel like Johnny's gonna bite on this one. How about Flash Gordon?
Yeah.
Yes. Not the 80s movie, but the old serials. Is that what you're talking about? Or like the movie? Or both?
Let's see. I watched the movie for the first time a couple of years ago, and I cheesy as hell. Don't get me wrong, completely cheesy, but fun. It was so fun, like it wasn't self-conscious at all. It was just
There was a cartoon on in the 70s that was actually pretty.
And I know there was it just a Flash Gordon cartoon, or I know there was like Defenders of the Earth or something, which had him and some other pulp heroes. Johnny's internet stalling out on us, or is he just giving me a dead eye look like he's about to come with me?
He's mad dogging you.
After all this time, Flash Gordon's what pushed him over the top.
How dare you, Tommy?
Right?
Working to get it set back up.
So maybe I finally pushed Johnny too far, and he just done with me. Which is fair.
Here soon. It looks like it's connecting.
I'm not. I never question when somebody finally reaches their breaking point with me. I'm just like, it took this long, huh?
Still having trouble, Johnny? Says he's backstage.
He's backstage.
Yeah, but I don't believe it. I can see him right there. Says he's loading in now, I think.
Yeah, he's popped up, but he's there's no video footage.
Yeah, I don't know. Popped up, but no video footage, Johnny.
I'm trying to add him now.
Okay.
You don't want to load it in.
I'm the only one in. He said you guys are still loading on his screen.
Yeah.
Stop loading hard, guys.
I'll try to stop loading. I guess.
You guys are buffering.
Ain't technology
There we
brand.
I just came on.
Johnny's on my screen. I see him.
Yeah.
So I can't see it.
What about The Last Starfighter?
Sorry, guys. Can I serious?
Are you guys fans of that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one that I haven't seen in.
Let's start fire. Is that the video game?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they recruit somebody?
Yep.
Okay. I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me too. Ooh, Starman. You guys fan of Starman?
Yeah.
With,
That's
Yeah, I like it. John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And was it Jeff Bridges?
yeah.
I when
I
I'm
used to watch the
driving.
show.
Yeah, with Robert Hayes.
Yep.
Yeah. I watched that show. I watched the show as well. One of the Starman has one of those lines that has stuck in my head for my entire life, and I'll use it when I'm driving. And there's a scene when he blows through the light, and she freaks out at him, and she says, "What are you doing? And where'd you learn how to drive?" He says, "I learned from watching you. Red light, stop. Green light, go. Yellow light, go very fast."
We lost Johnny again.
Johnny,
Yeah, he's trying
Johnny's
to
just
reconnect
being
again.
passive aggressive, and he's sick of my crap. That's all that's going on here.
He can't kick you off like I can, so he's just jumping out.
Right? he's waiting for you to check your Facebook messages. Going, all right, Ben, it's him or me.
And he's back.
Welcome back, Johnny.
Yes, he's back.
Just my
I haven't had you on in a while. So
internet keeps tapping out.
what you been up to since the last time we had you?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome back to the show, Johnny Johnson.
I'm 60 now.
What's new in your life,
And
Johnny?
he's gone.
He's gone again.
These will be back after these messages.
Let's throw it to our sponsors. Wait, we don't have sponsors. And if we did,
Hello.
Johnny would offend them.
Yeah. And he's back. So what's new in your life, Johnny?
I'm back.
Did you get married since last time we saw you?
I've been to the future, man.
Hey, there's any tangent for us. sci-fi movies that have to deal with time travel. So, what are some of your favorite time travel movies?
Let's be honest, time travel is a little dicey. So,
He's out again.
I was telling them, you're supposed to quit in time.
You got mobile network? That's what I'm using. It's mobile network. I blame the winter storm.
well, the all-time best time travel movie has to be Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, right?
If you say so. I've never seen that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know that it's actually the best, but
Hot Tub Time Machine.
I do like that one.
I did enjoy that one.
Planet of the Apes, obviously, it has the time travel element to it.
Right.
Right.
We talk about that. How much I love that. I'll tell you one that very untraditional, and I used to recommend this to people when I worked for Blockbuster. The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. It's pretty much a chick flick, but it's a time travel chick flick. And I would, it's getting veering off a little bit. Josh Hartnett had a movie around the same time called Lucky Number 11.
Yes, I love that movie.
Yeah, I would recommend that to people when they came in, like couples that came in as a date night double feature, Lake House and Lucky Number 11. It's like, just enough there for the he and the she to enjoy, or the whoever. I don't want to cast aspersions. Just what your date nights are like, but yeah. In fact, I really actually enjoyed that one. Like, I wouldn't call it like one of my all-time favorites, but it was surprisingly good. With the whole time travel gimmick.
I also thought Looper was a pretty interesting movie.
Never actually seen that one.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
the one where he's Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
You guys ever watch Frequency with Dennis Quaid and
Yes,
Jim
that's a good
Smith?
one.
Yeah, I really like that one too.
There's a radio. Wasn't that the radio transmission that went back in time?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I thought I seen that one. Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's one of those like that and Lake House aren't like true like time travel, but it's like communicating through time.
Right.
IMDb says that the best time travel movie of all time is The Time Machine, but I'm freaking kicking myself for us talking about time travel and not referencing Back to the freaking Future.
That's what I thought you meant when I went out. That's what I thought somebody was bringing up, Back to the Future.
Yeah, no, Back to the
I
Future.
mean, even though it was more of comedy, it actually was a pretty good time travel movie.
Yeah,
I'm
it
still
was.
pissed that our future didn't turn into Back to the Future 2. I want a hoverboard, damn it.
Yeah, with those self lace-up shoes.
Yes.
Too old to bend over.
That's why I still do squats. I was pretty proud of myself. Got all macho yesterday. had to push the car out of the snow twice yesterday. I wasn't the driver, and that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, no, I don't know that a year ago or 4 years ago, if I could have pushed a car out of the snow, but I did it twice, so I was pretty proud of myself.
Awesome.
Butterfly Effect. You guys ever seen that? Ashton
Yeah, good
Kutcher.
movie.
Yes.
One of those movies that kind of flip people's impressions of Ashton Kutcher on his ear, because to that point he was that 70s show,
Right.
Um,
They cut out some really interesting parts to that movie. They're like in the special feature section.
Mhm.
But one of my favorite scenes is where like I think the fortune teller he goes to see like tells him like you don't belong here, and that line just kind of creeped me out.
how about Interstellar? You guys seen Interstellar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I really enjoy that one too with McConaughey.
Yes. Good Christopher Nolan movie.
Yep. And of course, talking about time travel, we talked a fair bit about Terminator, and that's like the whole gimmick there.
Right.
What it's all about. So.
What about Primer? Have you guys ever seen Primer?
I have not. I'm not sure I've heard of it.
That's probably my favorite time travel movie. It gives me the creeps.
Did you say crepes?
Gives me the creeps.
Yeah, crepes is it.
Not crepes, but creeps. Although I do like
remember
crepes.
a movie called Event Horizon?
Yeah. With Sam Neill.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Had Larry Fishburne.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good creepy movie.
That was a creepy movie. It was even on a spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched The Black Hole on Disney Plus not too long ago.
The Black Hole. Oh my!
There were
goodness.
elements in that movie that reminded me of Event Horizon.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to redo that. I always loved that movie. That came out back when Star Wars. That was Disney's attempt at Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, that's surprisingly a dark
Star Wars
movie.
type, anyways. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty dark for a Disney movie.
It kind of got creepy when they went to the black hole. That kind of almost went like a Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
A Willy Wonka sort of thing at the end.
Yeah, because like Captain ends up like in this kind of hellish landscape.
Yeah.
With his dead crew kind of wearing these monk robes or something.
Yeah, and then he got into the big
Maximilian. Yeah.
He got in there. He's inside I don't know how he gutted all the stuff out.
Exactly. Yeah.
He got
inside.
Asking
the same question.
Around.
Yeah, that was creepy.
I loved it. I just thought it should have been bigger than what it was.
I don't think I've seen it, but you guys said it's on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
I will.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, I remember when it came out. It came out about right after I think Star Wars or maybe Empire Strikes Back, about around that time frame.
79 looks like.
Yeah.
Robert Forster and Anthony Perkins.
I'm surprised they haven't remade it or something. It looked like one of the movies that they could remake. And what about Dune, y'all?
Dune?
I've never been a Dune guy.
I haven't either. The first movie I watched, I guess it just went over my head.
Mm-hmm.
I just never understood it, I guess. And I guess they redid. I guess there's another one coming out. But
yeah.
I never read the books either, so. I never understood the whispering in the first movie. I don't know why they whispered all a lot. So.
Well, the first one was made by David Lynch, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, there could be all kinds of weird ass people.
It does do the whisper thing, though. I never understand why that was. I don't know if because they was high on spice or what we're doing. Because I was gotta go get the spice. So I never understood that. But maybe it's not meant for me to understand.
It's an Old Spice commercial. Got Terry Crews in the background.
Now that whistle would have came up, I probably would have joined.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming out with the remake or whatever, the reboot or whatever it is. It's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. So
yeah, I think the actual technical term is it's a readaptation.
Okay.
That makes it better.
Well, it's
as long as they're talking in
not
normal tone, they're not whispering.
Yeah, it's when they're readapting the original source as opposed to remaking a movie.
Right.
Like that's what the recent It movies technically were, because they weren't remaking the miniseries; they were adapting the novel again.
Yeah.
So
Well, as long as they don't whisper.
I'm ready for the Star Wars remake. It's time for them to remake Star Wars.
Remake it.
Yeah.
I think they can let that breathe a little bit.
Just scrap all of it, start all over again with a remake.
Like, I'd be okay with that, but just give us some time.
No, now.
Don't do it now.
Disney's got bills to pay.
Well, then it's 4
Time
o'clock.
to reboot the MCU while they're at it.
Our time.
Do what?
All right.
Yeah, we're over 4.
We're over, man.
Whoa, a whole 2 minutes.
We got deep.
What you got, Ben?
What's that?
What you got?
Oh, I'm working on a hawk. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Nice.
There.
Johnny?
Kind of washed out.
Oh, it kept going out, so.
Nice.
He'll be back.
I'll be back.
So you got Jason?
Let me see how I share again.
I didn't draw anything because I'm lazy and untalented. I don't know who that is.
Pull it up again, Jason or Johnny. There you go. Ahsoka.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of her.
She's one of the Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
Ooh.
There's my hero.
Love me some Captain America.
I don't know if you can see this. It's a bunch of scribbles.
Oh, I dig
Oh,
that.
nice.
Nice.
I love the perspective there.
Nice. Is that for the story we're working on?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. I love it.
I just
Nice.
found
That's
that
cool.
popped when you said Sci-Fi Saturday.
Yeah. That is awesome.
That is. I love both the big shadow and then the reflection as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that reflection's killer. That's awesome.
Nice. Scribble again.
Excellent scribble, sir.
Excellent scribbles, man.
There we go.
You scribble nicely.
It's easier to scribble on these tablets. I have a lot of eraser shavings everywhere.
Is that Bigfoot? Is it Bigfoot according to him on the
Bigfoot on the moon.
Yes.
What are Bigfoot called on the moon? Because they have a different name everywhere they are, right?
Yeah, I don't know. They're
Moons.
moon
Moon
beasts.
squatch.
Moon beast.
Sound like a drink. Here's some of that moon squatch.
That sounds like an alcoholic
Yeah.
beverage.
It does.
That's
Let's
the
drink some moon squatch.
that's the real sequel to our Bigfoot story is when
Moon
the
squatch.
surviving the secretly surviving hillbilly lady and Bigfoot are shacking up selling moon squatch to the locals.
Well, then we can use lunar foot.
Yeah. People can't get enough of it.
All right, Tommy, let's see your drawing.
I told you I don't have anything. I'm lazy and untalented.
All right, next time we want to see stick figures.
Or scribbles.
Scribbles.
I
Let me see some
ramble.
scribbles.
Isn't that enough?
No.
For 2 hours, I rambled.
All right, we'll let it slide.
Aimlessly from topic to topic.
I would say 80% of the time we kept on track, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I think most of my swearing would get in under PG-13.
Yeah, I give you that.
So, I don't know what else you can ask of me.
Stick figures, but whatever.
Jason, we're going back to South Stanos.
I was gonna ask. You guys got big post-show plans here?
Food.
Get some food, man.
The food inning.
Yeah. Yeah, we
I'm gonna try to get a van and start from my yard. I wasn't driving it. That's all I'll say.
Awesome.
After this,
All right,
we're
guys.
going to invest in a whole lot of gravel. So
There you go.
How are the ways near you, Tommy? Are the roads pretty clear now, or are they?
yeah, once I get on my yard, everything's fine. It's getting out of the yard. So, but good times. Good show, guys. I always love hanging out with you guys, even virtually.
Yeah.
I may have been spaced out a bit.
Well, that's what sci-fi does to us, spaces out.
Zing!
Yeah. We saw your scribbles, man.
Yo!
You're very spaced out.
I'm looking forward to a day where we can all safely hang out in person again.
Yes.
That'll be good.
I've been scheduled twice now for a COVID vaccination, and it's been canceled twice now due to the weather. So I think God's saying something, which is for the betterment of everybody. Let's keep Tommy's ass at home. Loving how the Hawks come along there.
What's that?
I said I'm loving how the Hawk is coming along there.
Oh, thanks, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll post it later when I'm finished with it.
I can do watercolor sci-fi characters, but I can't paint or draw. But other than that, I could do it.
All right, we'll see it next week then. We're
Except I
holding you
can't
to it.
paint or draw.
But you can watercolor.
Effort.
I'll see watercolor stick figures next week.
You have crowns?
Any crayons, Tommy?
I have kids. Of course, they have crayons.
That's what we expect.
Silly question.
All right. Well, you guys have a good one. Anyone who's watching the show, we appreciate you sticking with us. And you guys have a safe and good week, and we'll meet up next week.
Wait, there's people watching this?
Eventually.
I don't know.
Actually, I had some people came on that watched it, and they said they liked it. So,
Awesome.
a few people, might be two.
I think our show 2 weeks ago, one of my Facebook friends actually commented on the stuff that we talked about, like literally like discussion points that we had. So,
Oh wow,
I thought we were just
That's cool.
out.
yeah.
Very cool.
of course, I
All right,
friend
guys.
who also asked if we had these things up for him to watch, and I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I'm really interested." Then he never said a word. So I don't know if he got 5 minutes in and said, "Screw this" or what.
Right. Yeah, if you made it this far, you are awesome.
You are awesome.
It's what people do when they ask
Number
about
one.
links to comic books. Oh, you have comic books? Yeah. Well, let me know. I'll buy one. And then silence.
I too. We got more than that.
So, all right. Later, guys.
See you
All right,
later,
later,
guys.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.